Hey everybody, you are listening to Working Mother Radio. We have our February March issue out and there's so much good stuff in here. If you don't have it in front of you, if you don't have it somewhere in your home, you need to get it. We have Leap into Health is our big headline. We've got this woman, clearly a working mom. She's got on her workout gear and she's jumping over the couch. Her kids are looking up, looking at her like she's out of her mind. And she just looks like she can accomplish anything. And I know that we all are trying to feel like that. And the first step to feeling like that is making sure that you're taking care of you, you're taking care of your health. And some of our other headlines, we've got Easy Amor, make yours a no-stress Valentine's Day. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. I had a wonderful one. Valentine's Day, my kids are preschoolers. They're 2.5 and 3.5. And Valentine's Day with preschoolers is just hilariously funny. And I had a blast. It reminded me what the day is really all about. And the smiles on their faces just made me really happy. We've also got Moneymakers, breadwinning moms, share their strengths and strategies. Eat it up. Try our easy slow cooker recipes fast. You heard me talk before on another episode about the fact that these are great. You need to try these slow cooker recipes. They're awesome. And Fight Fair, tips for taming an exhausting office tip. So right now, we're going to get into one of the hot button issues that a lot of people want to talk about. We have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter page, and we hear people having concerns about this all the time. And we're raising our kids now in a world that nobody's ever raised their kids in before. It's a whole new brave world out there. Kids and the internet. How do we deal with the internet? What do we do with the internet? And in case you're hearing all these kids in the background, we are recording live at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles. And there is a classroom full of kids walking through right now trying to check out and see what we're up to. So it's perfect for this subject matter, kids and the internet. And joining us today from Working Mother, we've got Krista Carothers, our senior research editor. How are you doing today, Krista?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for joining us to talk about this.
Thanks for having me.
So now you're obviously a working mom. How old are your kids?
That's right. I have a son who's 8. So we really are just sort of like getting into this whole world of online games. So
that's
very
actually
personal for me, this issue.
Yeah, that's my first question is, when does this begin? Because it hasn't begun for me yet.
Right. Well, I think what's funny is, and you mentioned this is a whole different world, and it's changing every day, I feel like, because my son is 8, and we've had the internet all this time, but we didn't get a tablet until he was 6, I think. And I think, now you guys who have preschoolers now, everybody's got tablets and smartphones. So it really is just changing every day, like what kind of access kids have and how young they begin to, get into this whole idea of like Angry Birds and all that stuff. It's starting like right away. I think people let their babies play with iPhones.
Every little kid that I know that, my 2.5-year-old son, all of his little friends, if they see, a picture on a screen, they immediately put their finger to it and try to swipe it.
Yeah.
And that's, you're 2.5.
Yeah.
And that's just
they're the digital natives, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's something else. You watch that and it's just, something flips in your head and you're thinking, and I was talking to somebody at a Mommy and Me class and she said, the studies are starting to come out about manual dexterity and how kids are already starting to lose their skills. Just for things like holding a pen and, because they're just swiping.
Yep.
And I thought, oh my gosh, the studies haven't even been done yet for what's happening here. We're all just starting to figure out what are the ramifications of what we're doing here.
It's true. And I was really alarmed last fall when I read a study. American Academy of Pediatricians put out their newest policy statement on media, and they mentioned that 8-year-olds have an average of 8 hours a day of media, and that includes TV too. But,
wow.
A lot of it, more and more of it now.
8 hours a day? That's an entire work day.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it actually kind of hard to believe it. I've seen other estimates that are not quite that high, but it was shocking. It was absolutely shocking when I saw that number.
Good Lord.
My 8-year-old does not get 8 hours a day, although he would take it. Media is great, and I certainly don't mean to sound like a Luddite who doesn't appreciate the internet, because I am on the internet, obviously, the entire day for my work. So I always have to stop and think, all these little research projects that I'm doing, my son wants to do that too. Like, we heard about coy wolves the other day, which is hybrid between coyotes and wolves. Someone had mentioned that to us. And the first thing we did was go and look it up, and we ended up finding this National Geographic special that we could stream and learn all about it. It was fascinating. So, I mean, I think that it's so great for kids to have access to this.
Okay, but I think what's great about what you said was that everything about that story was we. You did it with him. You guys were together, and you were spending time together, and you were using the internet in a thoughtful way. That's far different from the stuff that scares me. You know,
right? Because what my son really likes to do on the internet, although he likes the documentary about coy wolves, he really likes to play Minecraft. And anybody who has a kid between, I would guess, the ages of like 6 and maybe 13 or 14 knows all about Minecraft, more than they want to know. It's
I have
this crazy,
no idea
weird game. I wouldn't say that you will, because it might be gone by the time your kids
There'll
get
be
to
something
that age.
else.
But it's completely ubiquitous, especially among boys of this age. And they all love it, and you have to download the game, and then they can play it online or offline. But it doesn't really have instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were kids and we played Monopoly, there are rules and everybody knows them.
Right.
And you talk about them and you play. But Minecraft is this game where you sort of just figure it out. And there's too much, for my taste, going on the internet and searching for things as you're figuring out how to play this game. Yeah. And at the same time, it's a really engaging game, and they really like to do it, and they talk to their friends about it at school, which I think is actually great. They get so caught up, and they can really do it for hours and hours. And when they're so quiet and sitting at the computer for such a long time, I think that's when we as parents are very much in danger of going off to do our own thing.
So what do you do? Do you limit
it? We do. And we have to remind ourselves to limit it as much as we have to remind our son that it's limited. Because, like I say, you just get so I can do the dishes now. Oh, I can do some laundry. He's so busy. He's so quiet. He's really enjoying himself. And the next thing you know, an hour has slipped by. And he's been doing this, all by himself. And I actually was working the other day when I was letting him play, and I overheard him talking to my husband and saying, "What is Grandma's maiden name?" I went, "Oh, no."
Oh, my.
We're in trouble. I ran down and I said, anytime, a website is asking you for Grandma's maiden name, you need to come and talk to me, because obviously he was getting
he was applying for a credit card.
Privacy questions. I don't think it was a big deal, but it was a very good learning experience, and we had to reset our rules that we're only going to have this going on while a parent is in the room. So when I go downstairs to cook dinner, the computer is in the kitchen, and then he can play for a while, and we make sure he knows that it's only going to be half an hour.
It sounds to me like your top tips and your top takeaways from this are, number one, don't get sucked into the fact that, you can use that engagement with that game to supervise your child for you.
Exactly.
Because
it's dangerous when they're connected to the internet.
Exactly.
I think that when they're playing Angry Birds and they're not necessarily, doing YouTube searches or Google searches, it's okay to leave them alone for a little while. I totally think that it's inevitable, in fact, because, that is sort of like a babysitter. Go take a shower.
Right,
go
exactly.
get something done.
And then number two,
but when they're connected to the web, it's different.
Yeah,
I just feel
absolutely.
Especially at this young age, they can't be on their own. And I know I've also seen in the American Academy of Pediatricians policy statement, don't let them have a computer in their bedroom, because that's where a lot of kids find a lot of things on the internet that their parents don't actually want them looking at. TVs and computers in the bedroom just leads to millions more hours of access. So
that's a huge statement and a great piece of advice. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us, Krista Carothers.
Sure.
We appreciate it. I'm Bettina Bush, your host. You're listening to Working Mother Radio.